Okay, so I've picked a spot and it's time to start setting up the Gunpla on the shelf, primarily because it's going to be an excuse to separate the top shelf, which I'm not going to show you. I see that it doesn't go all the way up there, but you know what's on the top shelf. We're going to separate that so that one side is stuff that we still need to make and the other side is stuff that we already have made. And the reason we're going to do that is because I'd like to get the Gunpla on the shelf, and I've already picked a spot. It's going to end up going on this one here. Yep. Okay, so here we go. We need to start introducing Gundams, Gunpla, toys, things that are going on that shelf right there that are Gundam. And we've talked about this one, but of course, he's going up there. He stays in the collection. He's super solid. This is from the Gundam Universe collection. It's a new span of toys that are happening currently that are really, really solid. The only problems that I'm having with these things is that, one, they're all the same size. And two, they don't pose well. They stand well. That's pretty much what they do. They stand, and they stand really well, and it's beautiful how well they stand. And that's pretty much the only real thing that I've been able to do with them. I have 3 from this line of figures so far. The other one that I went and got was I got this, because everybody likes this, and I thought I'd check him out. I thought I'd buy him and check him out and look what he's about, and there's Lexi. So, here's what I thought. I thought I'd get him, and I'd appreciate him. I got him, I set him up, I tried to pose him for a while, and I figured out one thing. While this guy is pretty cool, he looks pretty cool, he's neat, this weapon is stupid. It's stupid! Like, it's just stupid. Look, I come from watching a show, because what really got me into Gundam was the original Gundam Mobile Suit Gundam. That's what really got my fandom moving. Now we go into this hyper ridiculous age where people have like surgeries that then make them Gundam pilots, and like they have basically almost magic level Gundams that are so far above technology that they seem like they would have to literally be magic. And I get the idea that in the original Mobile Suit Gundam there was new types, but new types was a slight evolution of man that had higher function than the last race of people. It was a new race of humans that were coming into existence that bordered on psychic power. In fact, some of them, literally, their minds had expanded to a point where it seemed like they literally have psychic powers. But I liked the idea that it was still grounded in enough reality that we constantly saw new types and old types, whatever you want to call them, humans, die on the regular. A normal type pilot was still able to kill a new type. It was not easy, but it could be done. And now you got these frickin' things, and they're basically untouchable, and they got ridiculous weapons like this. He can't even stand up. Like, it's really hard to pose that weapon. That weapon is stupid. That weapon is stupid. And I am watching some of the new Gundam stuff, and I don't hate it. It's just that I prefer my Gundam to have a little bit more grounding in reality and seem like a future that we could approach. Not that I want a future where we go out to space and then blow each other up. You understand, we all know I'm a Star Trek fan. I would rather hope for the inevitability that one day we put aside our bullshit and we all become a common people. I would love that. I would also love giant mecha. Pilot a giant mecha would be pretty sweet. But, like, guys, that weapon is ridiculous. If you could defend that weapon, good for you. And I get that I came from the show I'm even calling out has the Gundam Hammer, but even they realized it was a level of ridiculous that they didn't draw on too much. He threw it a couple times, then he was like, it's kind of dumb. The last guy I got from this series is the most posable guy, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Their posing is bad. I got a Death Scythe, and he's really solid. I like him a lot. I think his paint is super good. I think that he looks great. I think that he stands great. I think that he has the best pose of the 3 guys I have. And they're solid. They'll all easily go on the shelf without a problem. I like all 3 of them, even though I made a big deal about Barbotus or whatever. It's just the way that it is, guys. I'm having trouble getting into new Gundam series. I think it's a little more flash and a lot less substance. And maybe that's part of the fact that we can do a lot more flash than we used to be able to do. I mean, that happens. Like, you look at things you want, like, for the younger audiences like big mecha that fight and ridiculous Hiro Yui type characters that are all conflicted and shit. Like, I preferred Amuro. You see him back there. I preferred Amuro. He made sense to me. He was a kid. He wasn't ready for that level of responsibility, and it was difficult for him to adapt, and it affected his life for the rest of his life by being forced to do the things that he did. That makes sense to me. Perfect sense to me. A lot of the new guys that are like borderline insane, or like the Gundam Wing guys that are so unbelievably, like they're so melodramatic about even the smallest things that they do, that the whole reasoning of their universe tends to not make sense to me. I cannot understand the rationale that is taking place in Gundam Wing. Like, there are so many scenes where I'm like, that guy should be dead. This should not happen. People aren't that stupid. I mean, I guess I've been watching the world lately, so maybe I'm wrong. But maybe it's my hopeful nature that people are not that fucking stupid. And just little things that make no sense about the political system. But it's a political system in the future, so I have a big love-hate relationship with Gundam Wing, because it works and it doesn't work. The political stuff that's going on makes sense in some parts, and then completely side rails into melodrama that makes no sense, and I don't understand how it's happening. A couple other toys that I've picked up and I've kept all these years is I have this guy here. I can't even remember what toy line this is from. I remember he came with like a big Gao carrier thing or whatever, and like a transport thing that he could fly on. That was cool. And there's a couple other toys from the same toy line that I have. This guy. We'll talk about this, and we'll talk about this. These are the only toys that I have left from when I explained that I used to go out and buy these toys, and that's where I started in my Gundam stuff. I have a ball. He's pretty solid. He's cool. And the thing I really like about him is when set up with Gunpla, it seems like his size is very accurate. Like, we'll just grab Char real quick. Here's Char. We all have a good idea of what he's supposed to be. And we have Ball, and it makes sense to me. The cannon looks dangerous still. He looks like he's only the size of a cockpit. Like, it works really well. It is very well done. Then I have a Heavy Arms. Like I said, from the same toy line. I couldn't tell you too much about it other than I have it. He's pretty cool. His chest opens, if I remember right, and his arms open. Yeah, his arms open, so he's got little Gatling guns there, and that looked really sad. I swear I remember being able to open his chest. Maybe it's just that he's really old and he's beat up. I don't know. I can't seem to open his chest. Maybe I am imagining things. Maybe I don't remember quite what I remember. He's got the blade there, which is kind of cool. He's solid for what he is. I want this as a Gunpla. Easily. I would definitely love to have all of the Gundam Wing stuff in Gunpla form again, because I really, really like the designs in that show. And the last thing that I'm still hanging on to after all this time is an original RX-78 toy. I can't remember exactly from what. He has the Amuro symbol on him, which is not necessarily right. I don't remember that actually becoming a thing in the original series. I don't remember. I think that's kind of been retconned in. And yeah, so it's almost like this is another Gundam that he was given or something, but by the time that Gundam was lost, Gundam was kind of falling to the wayside in its usability. It was a high-class machine, but there were already mass-produced units that could outperform the Gundam, which is weird that they wouldn't have just realized, and this comes down to retconning. It all comes down to retconning. The units that they say outperform the Gundam in terms of all the stuff you can read now, simply it wasn't that way in the original series. So he never got a new unit. But by now, because of all the retconning with like Origin and whatnot, unless he specifically made a choice to stick with the RX-78 because it makes sense that that's what he's used to, but he was already complaining about the RX-78's performance, which makes me feel like he shouldn't have been so gung-ho to stick with it. By that point, he should have been on the ideal that it had outlived its usefulness and he was ready to move on. That's what makes sense to me, but it's not what we got. That's enough. That's enough for this episode. Let's go ahead and cut this episode because this will already be a little over 10 minutes and whatnot. We've put some Gundams on the shelf. We have now added these items back into the collection. Get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.